Hey everyone, it's GamerCat09 and I'm here with a special episode for you guys. I'm hoping everyone had the opportunity to watch my Let's Play of The Walking Dead 400 Days. If you haven't watched me play the game, or if you haven't played the game for yourself, I highly recommend it because this video is going to contain a lot of spoilers. This is your fair warning. Turn back now while you still can. Otherwise, I would like to welcome everyone else to hear my version of the story analysis of the game. So with nothing further to do, here we go. During the cutscenes before the character selection screen, you'll observe the gas station at night during a time where walkers are not everywhere. In the distance, you'll see a blue truck next to the pumps. It's this scene that shows Kenny, Kaja, and Duck possibly taking a pit stop from their road trip before the zombie apocalypse. This might have been the last stop they had before arriving on Herschel Green's farm and meeting up with Lee and Clementine back in episode 1. If you follow the story in chronological order, we start off as Vince in day 2 of the zombie apocalypse. As Vince is fleeing from police, you'll notice the pharmacy in the background that was featured in episode 1, the same pharmacy that was owned and operated by Lee's family. While sitting on the bus, it's observed that you're stuck in traffic on the highway, which ironically appears to be the same highway Lee was traveling when he was being transferred in episode 1. When the front seat inmate is getting choked to death, a cop named Clyde is forced to intervene. Afterwards, he gets his throat ripped out by the dead inmate he tried to save. By fast-forwarding to Russell's scenario, the same cop can be seen lying on the ground outside the gas station. Looking out the window, you'll also notice what appears to be Shell and Becca running from the zombies.
Did you see that?
1.5 months after the inmates escape, Wyatt and his buddy Eddie are being chased by a deranged man after Eddie accidentally killed his friend. While shooting at the truck, it's noted to look exactly like the same truck in Russell's scenario that Nate is driving. If you end up staying in the car, you will get attacked by, yup, you guessed it, Nate, that crazy asshole. You can only discover this if you stay in the car. However, if you leave the car to check on the body, then Eddie gets attacked by Nate instead.
Come on, man! We was just getting started!
Either way, when fighting Nate off, you injure his hand, which allows you to drive off and escape while getting shot at. In Russell's scenario, you'll notice a scar on his right hand while riding in the truck with him. After hitting the guy on the road, you will notice after checking the body that it's the prison guard from Vince's story who was driving the bus. I guess it served him right for fleeing the bus instead of helping the guys escape.
Man, are you gonna be alright? Fucking help me out!
We take a long jump into Russell's story about 5 months later. Observing the environment, it looks to be the same road that was traveled by Lee and his group when they escaped the thieves at the motel in episode 3. When the truck approaches Russell on the highway, you're faced with a choice of either standing your ground or hiding. If you choose to hide, you end up lying next to a dead corpse. Depending on what you chose back in episode 3, you will notice that the corpse is either Carly or Douglas, who was murdered by Lily on the side of the road. When you get to the backyard of the gas station with Nate, you're given the choice to either kill Clyde from the prison bus or let him leave. If you choose to follow Nate and let him be, then he will show up in Bonnie's scenario after she slides down the muddy hill. Not a pleasant way to wake up. Inside the gas station's cafe, you'll run into an elderly man who's trying to protect his wife who's bleeding to death after being shot. Whether you stay with Nate or leave, the couple dies, and the blood stain appears on the floor and seat in Shell's story later on. About a month later, Dee ends up stealing a mysterious black bag in Bonnie's scenario. Leland and Bonnie keep pestering her about what's inside, but it's never revealed at the time. Later on in the cornfield, while hiding, you'll notice 2 shadowy figures in the dark. These figures are none other than Roman and Stephanie from Shell's story. After Bonnie accidentally clobbers Dee to death, she turns the flashlight off and ditches it. In Shell's story, when Stephanie and Becca are examining the equipment, she notes how one of the flashlights is missing.
Nope. Still in the
I
cornfield
wonder
somewhere, I
why.
guess.
Lastly, 2 weeks later, we end up in Shell's story with her younger sister Becca. Inside the cafe, the group briefly mentions Vernon, and then later outside, the death of Bree. That's because some of the people, aka Clive, Boyd, and Joyce, are from Vernon's cancer group, in which they first appeared in episode 4. After capturing the intruder outside the gas station, you're given the final decision to either kill him or let him go. During this scene, Roman mentions that they already had someone steal a bunch of their food and medical supplies supplies not too long ago. It's here that Roman mentions the incident in which they caught Dee stealing supplies. If you set him free, Boyd will die as the intruder comes back with company to steal more supplies. Finally, if you check out both of the watchdogs in the backyard, you'll notice that one of them happens to be the wife who was bleeding to death in Russell's scenario, and she was eating a puppy. Sad face. At the end of the game, you'll play as Tavia, who comes across the characters' pictures on the billboard at the infamous gas station while looking for survivors. When confronting them, the decisions you make for each of the characters determine if they follow Tavia or stay behind. Vince will come along only if he shoots Danny's leg instead of Justin's. If he runs off with Justin, Danny will appear crawling towards the truck in Russell's scenario if you choose to deny Nate's offer for a ride. Justin is later mentioned to have separated to find his own group of survivors. Maybe Vince thinks he can run into him again. Otherwise, if he runs off with Danny, Danny will die anyway, as it is mentioned to the group during confrontation with Tavia.
Don't worry about it.
Wyatt will join if he either leaves Eddie behind or if Tavia convinces him that he might be able to find him in their survivors camp. Russell will join if he's convinced that his grandparents might be found after Tavia states they picked up survivors in Statesboro. Bonnie is the only character that will go with Tavia regardless of her decision choices. Shell and Becca will come along if Stephanie wasn't executed or if Tavia mentions that there'll be survivors of all ages, as Shell always keeps her little sister in mind. And that, my friends, is my story analysis of the game. I hope 400 Days now makes sense to everyone and will get you pumped for the upcoming Season 2 being released, hopefully later this year. Until next time, stay tuned as always, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.